Hello, 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 and welcome live to Buffalo Wild Wings. We are up for another edition of Cat Chat. All right, everybody hear us okay? Coming through all right? Well, beautiful. All right, I'm Keaton Galogly, joined by head coach Brent Vegan. In a bit, we're going to talk with a couple of six-year guys. We got Lavelle Price Jr. and Treyton Pickering here, so we'll be talking to those two guys in a little bit. But first, Coach, how we doing? How we feeling? Week 5 on tap.
Good, yeah. We're midpoint again, new opponent, but I know we'll talk a lot about that win on Saturday, tonight, and it was a great trip down there. Come away with a 40-0 victory. I think we thought we could go down there and play well, and the result was the result, and that's a great way to kick off Big Sky play. And now we got another team coming in here who won their first week of Big Sky play in Portland State, and excited about the homecoming, the opportunity to be back in front of our fans.
Yeah, I think the shutout, 40-0, but that big old 0 is really impressive for a couple of reasons. So first shutout since 2016, first Big Sky shutout since 2006. And you guys Montana State had shut out Weber State back in 1984. Dan Davies told a great story on the pregame. Montana State actually blocked 5 punts in that game to win 48-0. And he said that kind of got him rolling a little bit in that championship year. And, by the way, Montana State also shut out Weber State in 1976. And so if you ever notice the numbers on the sideline, something very special happened in both of those years.
Well, yeah, I don't know if this means anything, but we're just glad to get the win. And the shutout's big. I think the shutout is a collective effort. It's like kind of the way we play offense and defense and special teams all together. But the defensive team, defensive side of the ball, they really played well, tackled well, and then to put our seconds in there and for them to keep them off the scoreboard, that's typically what maybe doesn't happen. So, yeah, great to get that shutout. Great momentum builder for the conference season.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that defense a little with Lavelle Price Jr. and a little bit about what's going on in all of that, and because really there's been some great play there. But let's talk some offense first. Sean Chambers, the Big Sky Offensive Player of the Week, accounted for 4 touchdowns, couple through the air, couple on the ground, taking some snaps under center, and man, he just looked like he was in a total rhythm, and he just had all the confidence in the world on Saturday.
Yeah, I thought our game plan, was a shift to be under center as much as we were, but we're really still doing the same things, running a lot of outside zone, getting those guys moving, getting those guys guessing. Weber's got a very aggressive defense that does take chances, so they made some plays early, made some stops early, but I think we really got them on their heels and then mixed up the play action, and we were able to hit a bunch of plays down the field to Treyton for touchdowns. It was just a good effort by that whole group, and Sean was the beneficiary in a bunch of those big plays.
From a play calling perspective, how does it change when you can get a guy under center? Like, what are there different things you can do when you have somebody under center rather than shotgun?
Well, I think the look to the defense is different because the quarterback literally, turns his back to the defense and will take multiple steps. When we're in the pistol, we do turn our backs, but it's a pretty quick action. So it's a harder play action, I guess. It's a harder play action to determine. Are they handing it off, or are they going to pull the ball and run it, or pull the ball and naked, or pull up and play action like we did? So, there was 3 elements that we really did off the same action, and I think it's just a harder thing to pick up for the defense as much as anything.
Yeah, and you made the point on Monday during the press conference, too, that, a lot of guys coming out of high school are just very unfamiliar and uncomfortable getting under center. It's just kind of one of those things where you see so much shotgun at the high school level.
Yeah, it's really taken over, probably the past 2 decades, but past decade for sure, where if you get a guy that's been under center more than the shotgun, that's rare. And there's a technique to it. It's easy to stand back there and catch a ball that's snapped at you for 5 yards, but to get under there and hang in there under as a center's pulling away from you, to have the footwork to get away. Those are all things that need to be learned, that need to be, techniques that need to be taught. And you need to have reps. And, for Sean, he had quite a bit of that at the University of Wyoming. It made a lot of sense for us to kind of go to that in that particular game.
Staying on the offensive side, was House right down on the field calling plays again this
Yes.
week? Yeah. Have you, when you were an offensive coordinator, did you call plays on the field or in the booth? Like, what was your?
I was always in the booth. I was always in the booth before I was an offensive coordinator, so that was part of it. I think been in the press box, I don't know, a decade before I called plays, I guess. So it was just nature of what was comfortable for me. I think the element of being on the field and, because that first game this year, that was the first time I called plays in a game from the field. You get a different feel down there. And certainly your ability to communicate with the guys, the quarterbacks, in particular, as the quarterback coach, I do think there's a, better person-to-person ability there. There's pros and cons both ways, but I think 2 games into, moving down to the field, and Coach Walker moved up back into the booth. He does a tremendous job of seeing, what's going on out there. You really need someone up there to be able to, that you trust, and Tyler's really done a good job as we've transitioned those roles.
Yeah, so that's kind of an interesting little wrinkle, just seeing the way that kind of plays out. And Julius Davis in this game, really the best game of his career. Even when you go back to Wisconsin, he had 200 yards in his career when he was a Badger. And the first couple of weeks, he didn't have big, gaudy numbers, but he ran hard, and you could see what he was going to do. And this one, it just looked like he was on a whole nother level in terms of his competitive nature and what he was doing on the field.
Yeah, still not that many carries, but all his carries seem to be productive. A lot of double-digit runs, and running hard, breaking tackles. Breaking tackles at or near the line of scrimmage in a lot of cases. And, I think the more he gets those opportunities, I think the more we're going to see that production. He's plays with great passion. I think, he's, ultimately turning in 4 games in exactly what we were looking for at that position. So you don't know until you get rolling with things, and I've been really pleased with Julius to this point.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun watching him play, and man, that was a spicy game. Everybody on that field was ready to rock, and that was Big Sky play for sure. And then Scott Trey Humphrey only had that 1 carry. Looked like he limped off. Did you have any updates on him?
Yeah, Scott Trey did suffer a minor injury, one that'll likely keep him out this week. He's going to be missed. I think when he's been in there, he's been productive. But fortunately for us, we do have a bunch of guys. I think Jared White's continued to be productive. Elijah Elliott at the end with the big run. He'll get a little bit more play this week. Gary Kuhn's still in that mix. Adam Jones. So fortunately we have a deep room. It's you don't want to see anybody go down like Lane and now Scott Trey have, but that becomes part of it. That's where depth is so critical.
Yeah, and the other thing that stands out, and we're going to talk about this with these 2 players who are coming up later, is just how well guys stay ready, stay prepared when they're not getting reps. Elijah Elliott's the first guy that comes to mind, of course. He's averaging almost 11 yards per carry at this point, but it just seems like something that every time you're able to plug somebody in, they stayed ready. And why is that?
Well, I think everybody, has to own their role. Sometimes you don't love your role necessarily if you're a 3rd or 4th stringer, but you gotta know what your role is, and ultimately you gotta own it. And then when you get that opportunity, you gotta make the most of it. And a guy like Elijah, he's playing a lot of special teams plays right now for us, which a lot of our backups do. And I hope that keeps them in tune, keeps them into the game. But, ultimately when their opportunity to go out there presents itself, make the most of it. So I think we got a lot of guys that are doing that right now, and that, their time will ultimately come, and, whether that's this next week or down the road or the next year. So you always want to keep that mindset of, hey, this is my role right now. I got to own it. I want my role to change. What do I got to do to do that? But ultimately, do whatever I can for the team.
You also talked a little this week just about how well the defensive line has been playing, and just how selfless a lot of that defense has been. Just if you do your job, you may not make the play, somebody else might, but if you do your job, then that's what you need. I think that's really kind of just stood out, and was that something that was kind of already here, or did you have to really kind of build some of that, plus the kind of playing for your brother and your teammate, rather than we're going to go run through this opposing team? We want you to just be the best you can be for the guy who's next to you, if that makes sense.
There's a lot there.
Yeah.
I think the culture of playing for one another, that was here. I think I came into a situation with a group of guys that really cared for one another. Now defensively, we changed the scheme, and I do think the method of our defense is that we have to play together. The schematics of it all. There's a lot of trust that has to come into play. You trust your teaching, you trust the call, you trust that everyone else behind you or next to you is going to do the job, and it might not put you in the stat sheet, but someone else is going to get the tackle or whatever. So we want to play a very sound and disciplined defense. And to do that, you have to have the guys that are bought in to understanding that it's about we, it's not about me. So I think we had that. That's what I've been a part of. I've been on the offensive side prior to getting this job, but part of teams that had defenses like this, and that's schematically why it was important that this was the transition that we made, and our guys have really bought into it well. And by no means have we been perfect, but I think right now we're playing as good a stretch of defense as I've seen.
Yeah, it's fun to watch that, and it's fun to watch the guys talk about that too. Sometimes when they get asked, hey, what'd you see on that play? And they're like, look, I was just where I needed to be in that moment. When you hear players like that talk about that, when you've got that type of culture and people being able to express that to the media and with your coaching staff, it's got to just be fun showing up to work every day with everybody so bought in right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's each week is its own week, so it's putting together that plan, but you're leaning on the teaching that you had back in spring ball. Things we can do in the summer now, in fall camp, the practices, the walkthroughs, all the meetings. I think you see that play out on a Saturday. I think everybody's figuring, okay, I get why we put all that time and effort in. I get why coach is on me for this, and this, because it all then can play out because we understand what we're doing. We're playing discipline. We're playing fast. And I think everybody truly is a part of the team concept right now. And, I think we're very talented. I do think we are talented, but it's the other things, it's the intangibles that push you over the edge ultimately to become what we want to become. So I think we have the makings. We keep talking about that, and we got to keep stacking these weeks up.
Well, no championships handed out in Week 4, but it sure is fun to this point watching this team as we get ready for Week 5. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll break down some of what we saw on the defensive side as we continue Cat Chat from Buffalo Wild Wings. Again, this is Cat Chat presented by Learfield. Okay, time to get our raffle tickets out. All right, we've got a beanie, a gray beanie with the cat head logo on it. So getting ready to go, starting to dip into the 50s, maybe the 40s at night. So getting ready with that. So we're going to read the last four numbers of your raffle ticket. All right, here we go. Last four. 7061. 7061. We got it? There it is. We are back with Cat Chat at Buffalo Wild Wings. Hey, it's almost Saturday, Bobcats, and if it's time to gear up for another season of football, if you bleed blue and gold, then get some game day ready gear from the MSU bookstore. You can shop with us on campus at Bobcat Stadium on game day and 24/7 at msubookstore.org. And of course, we're at Buffalo Wild Wings, the home to the official radio show of head coach Brent Vigen and Bobcat Athletics, and you can enjoy the show over wings and beer every Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. only at Buffalo Wild Wings. All right, before we talk with Treyton Pickering and then Lavelle Price Jr., we're with head coach Brent Vigen talking about the shutout this last week over at Weber State. And boy, Coach, 10 tackles for a loss in this ball game. That is not too shabby. When you take a look at the defensive performance and particularly just getting behind the line of scrimmage, where were you guys able to do that? Why did you have so much success getting into that backfield on Saturday?
Well, it was a mix. I know, maybe half of those, at least 4 were sacks, sacks at opportune times, when we had them in passing situations. But then a bunch of them were in short yardage situations where then we put them further behind the chains in the run game. So, I think that there's a couple of elements there. It's certainly the calls, making the right calls at the right times, but it's those guys executing and knowing, what they can do. Because a lot of times when you make a tackle for loss, it's about guys just doing their job and having an advantage where we have a numbers advantage of some sort. They're not accounting for a guy, whatever. And I think we had a number of those opportunities, and we tackled the football. I think it was a game where, our tackling was as good as I've seen it. We whether it was open field tackles or tackles that were in the box or behind the line of scrimmage, we made most of them.
Yeah, it was definitely fun to watch, and it's fun watching this defense right now. It just seems creative, fast, kind of reckless in a good way where people just know where they're going. And one of the guys, in the cornerback room, John Johnson, he's really been thrust into some duty here with Simeon Woodard a little bit banged up. Miles Jackson was banged up. Andrew Powdrell missed a game, and he's really seemed to kind of come on. Tell us a little bit about John Johnson, and specifically how he got here as well, because, man, what a key cog right now to this defense.
Yeah, as we went through the recruiting cycle last winter, we did have a situation where we were one corner short as far as what we were after, and I think we determined after that second signing day in February that getting a guy with some experience would be preferential. So we got on John at that time. He's out of L.A. El Camino Junior College, and he was a guy that out of high school developed quite a bit, and so you looked at his film and really saw something that, he had the potential to come in and help us pretty early. So I think he visited at some point during the spring ball. We got him signed up. I think it would have been by the end of March, and then he was here, I think, mid-May. So he had the summer to kind of learn some things within the defense, certainly get acclimated with our guys. And, it's been a real success to this point to get a guy to come in and play as much as he has and then play as effectively is what we were looking for. So it doesn't always work out that way, so we're really pleased with John at this point.
Yeah, it's been fun to watch him work. The other guy, so, first, I do want to talk about Daniel Louis-Lequep a little bit. First of all, he was playing a great game before that targeting call, which, was a call where it did look like he kind of led with the crown of his helmet. Not specifically malicious, but that's the rule. So won't have him for this first half coming up next week. Who are you looking at to kind of step into that third role? You said Cole Bullock the other day. Is that kind of where we're looking at?
Well, right now, we got him without Danny for a half. But so McCade will jump in that starting role, and McCade we kind of see as a starter anyway. Yeah. So McCade and Nolan will go. Yeah, Cole will be that third backer. I don't know that we'll roll maybe as frequently as we have, but Cole will be ready to go, and then we'll get Danny back at half, and we'll have those 3 guys. But that group of Nolan, McCade, and Danny, I think played their best collective game on Saturday as well. I think that's just the way that game played out, where everybody played really well. You didn't look at that defense and say, well, this guy, he was way off the mark. I think they were all very much in line with what we were looking for. Yeah,
that was cool to watch between him. Drew Polidor got his first 2.5 tackles for a loss in his career. Ryan Lenort continues to do what he's doing. But staying on Cole Bullock, too, he's another transfer guy coming over from College of Canyons, I believe. What's his backstory? How'd you guys kind of get in on him, and how is he assimilated?
Yeah, probably a similar story to John. We had come up linebacker short in December at the high school level, and just I think looking at our depth, you kind of shift gears a little bit to say if we could find a guy that could help us, whether it's on defense, on special teams immediately, let's go that route. And the thing about a junior college guy, we can still sign them. So if we can get them, on campus and between February and the end of March, we can sign them and then they're locked in. I think the one thing about the 4-year transfers, that's really a game that second semester that you don't even know who you're going to get until, it's really almost May, summertime, honestly. You can't sign them. So, both those guys committed and signed to us in that stretch. And Cole, at linebacker is a tough position to play mentally, and it's our defense is challenging. There's a lot of things to know, and those linebackers orchestrate quite a bit of it. So without spring ball, it's been a learning process for him, and that's to be expected. So he learned a bunch in the summer, but we only can do so much. You start putting it into play in the fall camp, and I think these last 2 weeks as he's gotten on the field. He's done some really good things, and when he's in the right place, he can tackle. So it's just continuing to get him reps and allow for him to continue to get more comfortable.
Yeah, it's an interesting note you have too, just about being able to lock a guy in coming out of junior college rather than some of those D1 transfers. What's it like going out and scouting some of these junior colleges? I'm sure a lot of the guys will jump at a chance to get those D1 opportunities, and there's probably a lot of diamonds in the rough out there.
Well, it's a changing landscape, and in particular in our footprint, the California junior college leagues. There's so many of them, junior colleges in California. So it's with the population in California, the high school kids aren't getting the same opportunities necessarily with the transfer portal and everything that's going on. So I think more, quality guys are ending up in those junior colleges, and this is just really starting. I think. Both John and Cole's situation was they didn't end up with the recruiting they wanted out of high school, so let's go to junior college. They're both good students, all that stuff, and ultimately find the opportunity they're looking for, and I think they found that in us. But we'll continue to tap into the transfer piece, the FBS transfer piece, the FCS transfer piece, but then I think we got to keep our eyes wide open for the junior college guys as well.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, it's been fun to watch those kind of guys get assimilated and get this defense rolling. It's going to be a test against Portland State next week, which we'll get into in just a little bit. But first, I want to remind you that Universal Athletic has been a proud supporter of Bobcat Athletics for over 45 years. Check out their great selection of Bobcat apparel and accessories for all your game day needs. Go Cats. All right, we're going to take a break, but when we get back, we'll have the chance to sit down with Lavelle Price Jr. and talk some football with your starting at Nickelback. We're taking a break. This is Cat Chat presented by Learfield. All right, get those raffle tickets ready. I want to hold it up here. We want to make sure it's above board, so we've got it all up top here. All right, we got a new sunshade for that front of your car, the windshield of your car. We all know the sun here is pretty vicious, so got a sunshade for your car with 2 Montana State helmets on it. All right, reading the last 4 numbers. Here we go. 7090. 7090. We got it. All right, what's up, man? Good. All right, we are back at Buffalo Wild Wings for another edition of Cat Chat. Remind you that you can pick up all the Bobcat gear you need to be game day ready at the MSU Bookstore, the only not-for-profit university bookstore cooperative that has the largest selection of Bobcat gear around. Shop with us on campus at Bobcat Stadium on game day and 24/7 at msubookstore.org. All right, I'm Keaton Galogly, joined now by Lavelle Price Jr. Lavelle, how we doing? How we feeling?
I'm doing good. Enjoying the weather.
Yes, soak it in now.
Yeah, soaking it in before it gets really cold.
Yeah. How is it at practice? Because what time do you guys usually practice in the morning?
So I usually wake up around like 5:50,
Yeah.
and I try to get in a hot tub around like 6:20 to warm my muscles up. And we have meetings around 7, and I think we get on the field around like 8.
Okay. That's okay if you want to write it down and bring it on up since we're on live radio right now. That would be super helpful. Thank you.
Yeah.
So you get in that hot tub and kind of get going. So, so at about 7 or 8, how cold is it at that point?
Today it was actually 39.
Okay.
Around 39 degrees.
Yeah, that's getting frosty.
Yeah, but being here for around like 6 years, I kind of got used to it.
Yeah. Yeah, as a SoCal guy, so you're good to go now with the winters?
Yeah, I'm good to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what is your advice to maybe some of the younger guys who are coming from a warmer climate? Like, how do you handle this winter?
Get snow boots.
Okay. Good boots.
Get a coat.
Yep.
And probably pray because it will get cold.
And trust your faith.
Yeah, trust your faith.
Yeah, you just made all the dads so happy in here. The amount of times I grew up in Chicago, so the amount of times my dad said, well, you got to make sure you got good socks, good boots before you go out there.
Yeah.
Well, tell me a little bit about, L.A. and, feels like there's been a pipeline of defensive backs coming from L.A. for a long time. Is that in my head or is that what we're seeing?
No, it's not in your head. Yeah.
Okay.
We had the senior last year, Tyrell Thomas, and then we had me, and then we have Takari,
Takari
Carr,
Carr,
and we have John Johnson. Yeah.
Yep.
And John, and Tyrell, we all went to the same school.
Yeah, cool. All the
so
same
really,
high school?
the connection really came from Tyrell, and then I kind of got John coming here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did Tyrell what is he the one who told you about Montana State?
Yeah, he told me about Montana State when he came back down for our high school championship.
Okay.
And he was just saying how good it was, the fan base there. And I was like, yeah, okay, I'm going to take a visit up there. And I took a visit, and I fell in love.
Yeah. You hear that, fans? So you guys are starting the people that are part of that recruiting pitch. So all that noise you make on Saturday does not go.
Also the view, too. The mountains is beautiful.
Yeah. Well, in L.A., you're not far from mountains. I'm sure it does feel like you're a million miles away from the mountains when you're actually in L.A., but
yeah, in L.A., all you really see is just tall buildings.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tall buildings, small buildings, houses. Really nothing really.
Yeah,
nothing too special.
Yeah, that sounds
I like it more out here.
Yeah, good. And you kind of got into the rhythm of some Montana lifestyle as well. You said you went did some fly fishing with Lane Sumner this offseason?
Yeah, Lane Sumner is the best fly fishing coach. Yes. Caught my first trout the first try too.
Okay, yeah.
I was also with Jory Trout, and I kind of made a little joke that I caught a fish before him.
Oh, good. No, you should. Yeah, that's funny because we did talk with Lane on this show about some fly fishing. So what was it like when you kind of first got going into it? Like, what was it difficult or I don't know, what was the hardest part of learning how to fly fish?
Probably getting the range of motion because I actually hooked Jory the first time I got
no.
it. Yeah, I hooked Jory and I turned around and I apologized the second time. But then he started teaching me about the range of motion and then just see where the stream was going. And I flicked it out there and then I felt the tug and he told me to pull. And it was just a weird feeling. Like it was fighting back and I was like, I never felt this feeling before.
Right.
Yeah, he just told me to pull it up and I pulled up the trout. I grabbed it. It felt, that was like the weirdest feeling ever. I thought it was going to be squishy with no bones, but it was like slimy with a bone feeling. I didn't want to break it or anything. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So have you gotten out since then, or did you just kind of go the once?
I kind of went the once.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
but I started experiencing more hiking.
Yeah. Okay. Any good trail recommendations around here you want to share?
Yeah, it's kind of, I forgot what the trail was called, but it's more towards that way. I think it's called like Black Bear Trail, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, something close around that. Yeah.
Okay. I know, there's the Bear Canyon over by like Mystic.
Bear Canyon,
okay,
yes,
kind of toward like Mystic Lake and that sort of thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
I went with Jory.
Okay. Yeah, Jory's the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If I ever want to go camping, Jory and Lane is the two guys I would want to go with.
Okay. Yeah. They're the ones who are going to survive after the zombie apocalypse and when you're off grid.
Yeah, and protect me when I can't protect myself out there.
Yeah. It was funny asking Jory last year too because I asked him for like a recommendation. I was like, "Oh, hey, do you want to give us like a fishing recommendation or, a trail?" And he kind of just like froze up. He was like, "Not really, no," because he didn't want to give his best spots away. And eventually told us about Highlight, which everybody, of course, knows. But let's talk some football and get into some X's and O's here. This defense, man, it is fun. It is fun to watch. How much fun is it playing in this defense right now?
Oh, it's so fun. Flying around with my brothers. We just love each other, and we just don't want to let each other down.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we really play it. We go out there and play for each other.
Yeah. Well, and that's what we were talking with Coach Vegan about a little bit too. It seems like it's just so permeated right now, just how much you want to not just perform for yourself, but perform for somebody else. And it's been fun to watch and fun to see. And you're in a position now where you're starting. You're the guy.
Yeah.
How good does that feel after all these years?
It's kind of like an embracement feeling still.
Yeah.
Just learning from like Ty Okada, I learned a lot from him, and I'm just trying to take whatever I learned from him and just apply it on the field.
Yeah. What are some of the things specifically that you learned from him that kind of run around in your brain?
Really film study.
Yeah.
Yeah, for our position, film study plays a lot in our role.
Yeah, because that nickelback position is a unique position. You're a DB and a linebacker, kind of. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, what are some of the challenges in learning that position, and why is that position so hard to play from a cerebral standpoint?
Yeah, so you have to go out there and guard one of the best receivers out on the field, and then the next play you also have to be in a run fit and tackle the 6'2" running back or whatever size the running back is. Yeah.
Right.
So I think the biggest thing is probably being physical and being able to switch it and go play coverage.
Yeah,
really.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
The physicality part, I feel like that's been something that's been a topic of conversation a lot, right? Coach Vegan's been saying it, got to be more physical in the trenches after the way the season ended last year. The team needs to be more physical. We're seeing that physicality, but what does that mean to you? How do you play with physicality every Saturday?
Just knowing what I need to execute and just going out there doing the best what I can do, take on blocks. Because I'm not the biggest person out there, but I need to play bigger than what I am. Because, they see me, they're like, "Oh, lunch meat."
Yeah.
He's little, yeah.
Yeah.
So, my biggest thing is probably just going out there and being more physical than what I was last week.
Yeah. And then, working with Willie Mack Garza, too, the defensive coordinator, it just, again, the creativity has stood out, and guys who have just been able to make bigger plays and that sort of thing. But, what's his role been, and how have you seen him kind of grow into running this defense this year, even compared to last year? Yeah,
so he kind of preaches to us before every practice, strive to be perfect, because if you try to be perfect in practice, you're going to try to be perfect in a game, I mean, we're all not perfect, but we still try to be perfect out there.
Yeah, that's good. And then it does look just like, with Drew Polidor and the way he's playing, with how great Ryan Lenord has continued to be, with the surefire linebackers that are going. I mean, it seems like with those DBs, there's just so much more we can see between, what you're doing, what Drew's doing, what Ryland's doing. What have you seen, particularly in the safeties, in just the way they've been able to be playmakers and be disruptors in the backfield?
Probably being more in our run coverage.
Yeah.
And also with Drew Polidor, I give him props. He can cover field.
Yeah. He's fast.
Yeah, he's really fast.
Yeah,
and with Ryland Orr too, he took a big stride in his run coverage too.
Yeah, Ryland just seems like a really sure tackler. Every time he gets there, he gets his guy onto the ground in an instant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Ryland Orr, man. That's my guy. we sit next to each other in meetings and stuff. I try to learn from him. He trying to learn from me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's just how our room is. So like usually before every meeting, we try to get a small meeting going and just study the film and put ourselves in there, put some calls in there, and just see what we can do against it.
You're talking a lot about learning from other guys and soaking that stuff up, but you're a sixth-year guy. You're a starter. That means you're teaching some guys. Tell me a little bit about the leadership piece. I mean, who are the guys who have been, pests in a good way, who are asking a lot of questions? What are some of the things you've been able to impart with your wisdom?
Yeah, I'd probably say Andrew Padrell, the freshman. I try to speak to him you should probably try to watch more film, because you can the faster you play out there is how you watch film.
Yeah. So the more film you see, the more you know those concepts, the quicker you can just get to that spot rather than thinking about what the other team is doing. You know what the team is doing.
I also preach to him about next play mentality. Especially at our position, you can give up a catch, but the offense is moving. You gotta get to the next play.
Yeah, definitely. And watching you out there now too, going through the amount of years you have to get to this point to be the starter. How did you stay ready when you come in 2018? You're walking on. You're just trying to get your feet wet. Everybody wants to play. Everybody wants to be a starter. But how did you stay ready in those moments when you weren't getting a ton of snaps on the field?
Just watching the older guys, just taking what they're doing out there and watching film on my own too.
Yeah.
And you always got to stay ready, so you're gonna get ready.
Yeah,
was what the motto I go with.
Yeah, I mean, was it frustrating at times though?
It was frustrating, but like how I go with everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
So just be patient.
Yeah, and was there anybody else who was maybe in your ear telling you to just be patient, telling you that, or was it just more internal?
More my parents.
Yeah.
I talked to them a lot about it, and
Yeah.
all the coaches too.
Yeah,
Like more like the GAs are telling me to just be patient, just wait your turn.
Yeah. It's interesting how the message from the head coach down to the GAs kind of filters right into you in those moments.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool, man. All right, well, Portland State coming up. Terrific offense. Dante Chachere, their quarterback, is tremendous. They're big, explosive offense. Give us a couple of keys. What are one or two things you guys have to do as a defense to be really successful on Saturday?
Number one thing we always need to do is stop the run, make them one-dimensional.
Yep.
And if we want to get them in passing, I feel like our up front will eat up and just
Yep.
yeah.
Stop that
that
run.
pass.
Let the
Yeah, stop the
defensive
run, stop
line
the
eat up
passing.
and go to work.
Yeah.
All right. You excited to get back in front of these home fans?
Yeah, I'm so excited.
Yeah, it's
I
gonna
need
be
you
fun.
guys to be the loudest on Saturday. That would
Yes,
help us.
please do. I love to hear it. All right, and a quick happy birthday to Lauren. Happy birthday, Lauren.
Happy birthday,
You turned
Lauren.
19. Congratulations, Lauren. 19. That's a great year. All right, Lavelle, appreciate the time, appreciate the insight, and good luck on Saturday. And after all this, we'll see you out in the off-season fly fishing around the Yellowstone River or something.
Sounds good.
All right, Lavelle Price Jr. We're taking a break. This is Cat Chat, presented by Learfield. Stuff. All right, let's grab our raffle tickets. We got the Flask Cap tumbler. It's blue with the silver block M. All right, last four numbers. Here we go. 7075. 7075. 7075. We got it? There it is. Also, is that my barber here? Yes, it is. What's up, Mike? We are back at Buffalo Wild Wings for Cat Chat. We remind you that Universal Athletic has been a proud supporter of Bobcat Athletics for over 45 years. Check out the great selection of Bobcat apparel and accessories for all your game day needs. Go Cats. I'm Keaton Galogly, joined now by your starting tight end, Treyton Pickering. Treyton, how we doing? How we feeling?
Oh, doing good.
Yeah, happy to have you up here today and coming off an awesome game, couple of touchdowns with the against Weber State and one of the beautiful settings around the Big Sky.
Yeah.
And, man, that was a fun game. Tell me a little bit about those touchdowns and a couple of those plays.
Yeah, kind of like what Vegan said earlier, we had a lot of plays similar to complement each other, and that was just kind of one of the plays. That was a part of it, and luckily I was able to run the route. I could have easily been one of the tight ends blocking on the play, and all those guys are capable of making those plays as well. So I was just fortunate enough to be on that part of the play and make the play. So.
Yeah, RJ, the first thing he said after those on the broadcast, too, was that was a beautiful route. That was the first thing he pointed out. What did you like about the route you ran on those touchdowns?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing you're kind of thinking about is just getting off the line of scrimmage and, being able to even run the route from the start. So just really focusing on that. And then once you're kind of in the middle of the field, and then you kind of know that you're able to do it and you don't have to worry about it as much. But, yeah, just getting off the start for sure.
Yeah, and what's that like? I mean, you make the move, you leave the linebacker a couple steps behind you, and you see that spiral coming out of the hand of Sean Chambers. There was a great shot of it. I think it was Sam Chalmers who had the shot for creative. But just seeing that spiral with the mountains behind it coming right in you, in stride, I mean, that's got to be one of the most beautiful sights.
Yeah, no, definitely. The ball's hanging in there for a while there, so all you're really focused on is catching it.
Yeah.
That's all it really is, just don't make a fool of yourself and catch it.
Yeah, get a little nervous at that point.
Yeah.
The other thing RJ said, too, was Pack Woo, baby, right after. And you're wearing this Pack Productions. Tell me about this.
Yeah, so my freshman year we came in, there was 3 seniors, and then Ryan Davis was in there as well. I know they always broke down on Pack Woo, and we always do this and whatnot.
Kind of like the Longhorns type thing,
yeah,
but not
exactly.
really, right? It was like forward.
Kind of like a dog, like figure, I don't know exactly.
Yeah, like the shadow puppet dog figure.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. And so me and Derek, we kind of just carried that on throughout these last 6 years, and it's just kind of a tradition we've had, and so we've kind of branded it together and kind of made it the tight end thing, and just kind of growing that.
Yeah, I like it. All right, the Pack Productions.
Yeah, exactly.
Big productions this weekend.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, in the tight end group, the group has 3 of the 4 passing or receiving touchdowns on the season right now. Schlepp got one of the first ones from Jordan Reed on Gold Rush and that sort of thing. So tell me a little bit about that tight end room. We know plenty about Derek Snell, know a little bit about you, but some of those other guys that are kind of coming up right now.
Yeah, no, Ryan Lonergan, he's kind of another guy that's a year below us. He's been starting to play a more important role in the offense and really getting some valuable minutes and some crucial plays and stuff. And then Schlepp, of course, he came in late, and, that room's always ready to go, and they know that we got to be a physical group when it comes to blocking and the run game and be able to go make plays in the air. So, no, that group is just an incredible group, and I'm super fortunate that I get to play with those guys.
Yeah, and even though Derek's been listed as a fullback, he still gets welcomed into the tight end room.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. He's a tight end first.
Yeah, totally. Well, let's talk about you a little bit, and your recruiting coming out of Sunburst, which gets a lot of talk, and I'm sure everybody in Sunburst loves hearing that every time you touch the football. But you came out of 6-man football. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about 6-man football. I mean, what are the positions? What's it like? I mean, I've not seen a 6-man football game, and I imagine not a lot of people in Bozeman have.
Yeah, so it's a little bit different. I think the field's obviously shrunk down. It's an 80-yard field.
Okay.
The sidelines are shrunk down. I can't remember exactly. Looked it up the other day. You have to get 15 yards for a first down. The center is eligible. The first person that receives a snap can't run unless the ball's pitched to him. So, it's a very backyard football-like game, and there's a lot of points scored. The field's massive.
Yeah.
Not too many big guys do well in 6-man, so, got to have a lot of athletes out there, but it's a super fun game. It's a track meet for sure.
Yeah, I did see some of your highlights, and there were a couple of highlights that, as a big man, you kind of looked like those mascots against the kids. You had some big old stiff arms on those.
Definitely.
Well, how did you survive that then as a bigger player if there weren't a lot of successful big men in 6-man football?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of came down to just having a good quarterback that was able to throw the ball. I mean, I played receiver because, and six-man tight end's not really a position.
Right.
So I just played receiver and was able to learn a little bit of that skill set from playing six-man and just really taking advantage and doing the most I could with the team and whatnot. And it was a blast, and I was fortunate enough to get enough people looking at me in colleges were attracted to it, and so it was just very fortunate enough to get that attention for sure.
Right, and now you get up to 11-man football, and you've been here now 6 years and have had the chance to walk on and get to this point. But what were some of the first hurdles when all of a sudden now there's another 5 guys per side? That's 10 guys total on the field, different than what it was before. So what were some of the early hurdles?
Yeah, I would say the first thing for me was I came in my freshman year and had ACL surgery. So
right, which you didn't know you had an ACL injury. Is that right?
Yeah, no, correct. I tore it in the first game of my senior year, and then
you just thought it was a sore knee?
Yeah, we don't have doctors in Sunburst, so we just kind of sat out for a couple games. And,
you got dirt. That's all you need, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. I wore one of my coach's knee braces that was way too small for me. But no, I think that was kind of a blessing in the end because it gave me a little bit of time to gradually get put into 11-man and be able to learn the game a little bit more. I wasn't thrown into this fire, so I wasn't getting demoralized, as a young freshman and kind of having to jump through all those hurdles, and then obviously just being able to get stronger and bigger and have like a more accessible weight room when I came to MSU was definitely one of the bigger things for me.
Yeah, what was your weight room like in high school?
It's a good 15 by 15 box with a bench and a cleaning rack maybe.
And one dingy little bare light bulb or something like that?
No, exactly.
Oh, that's awesome, man. It's a long journey to get here, but I imagine everybody up there is just super proud of what you've been able to accomplish to this point.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. Always having people that come down from Sunburst or even in that area come down, and they always want to come talk after the game, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And I don't get to go up there very often just because it's super busy with the summers and during the season especially. So I love getting all the people to come down and support, and I'm glad to get the name of Sunburst out there on the map for sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure on the TV broadcast, Ty Gregorak just shouts it every time you touch the football.
Yeah, no, he definitely helps a lot with that.
As a guy who came in 2018, so did Lavelle, so kind of the same class here, but you guys were apart 3 years with Choate, now 3 years with Vegan here. Tell me a little bit about that coaching change. And there was just such a culture that was here. And, I think it's interesting where you could have somebody who wanted to come in as a coach and want to put their ego, put their stamp on things. But, how did Brent kind of mesh his style with the culture that was already here?
Yeah, I think Choate obviously had a lot of good things going for him. He kind of turned the team around and gradually over the years was starting to get more successful and whatnot. And he kind of put some pieces together that were missing. And then Vegan coming in, he had an idea of what he wanted to do. And he knew what we had good going for us, and he also had a good idea of what we needed to correct. And I think he did a really good job of not coming in too strong and was really feeling things out and was able to fit himself into a really good spot. And I think he did a great job of that.
How different are the pregame speeches from Vegan versus Choate?
I remember Vegan's first one there at Wyoming was a pretty good one. And, he's grown a lot more, being able to be comfortable with the team. But yeah, Choate, he was the big rah guy. And Vegan, he's starting to get fired up now too. So I love getting that out of him. It's awesome.
Yeah, love to hear that. All right, well, here we go. Portland State's on tap. It's homecoming weekend. Crowd's going to be great. Game sold out. Weather should be good enough. It's the final game of September. Tell us a little bit about this Portland State defense and give us one or two things you have to do to be successful on Saturday.
Yeah, no, I think they're a team that has a couple younger guys in some positions, but they also have some guys that can fly around, and they play really downhill in some positions. And, they're a really good team, and their offense definitely helps them with being able to put up points, keeping them off the field for sure. But I think it comes down to being physical. Every game, being in the run game, you just got to be physical. I think that showed in the Weber game where you're able to wear opponents down as the game goes along because everybody's fresh off the start. It's who's willing to keep being physical for 4 quarters every play. So I think that's something that we've always been really good at doing and need to focus on for sure.
Yeah, and the attrition kind of extended to the stands a little bit too. By the end of that Weber game, the Gold Rush T-shirts in those 3 sections stood out. I feel like people who've been traveling have been wearing the Gold Rush shirts a little bit more on the road. how obvious is it when you see those gold T-shirts in the stands on the road?
No, it's awesome. It definitely sticks out a lot. Those yellow shirts are crazy, and the fans there at Weber were extremely loud. It's very rare to go on an away game and you're trying to pump the crowd up, and it actually gets pretty elevated in there, so it was awesome to see that.
Yeah, all right, well, I like it. It didn't really work at South Dakota State because they wear so much yellow, but
Yeah.
for everything else, wearing those Gold Rush, I think really
Definitely.
stands out, so let's keep doing that on the
Yeah.
road. All right, Treyton Pickering, appreciate the time and the insight, and looking forward to seeing this game on Saturday.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
All right, Treyton Pickering. We're taking a break from Buffalo Wild Wings. This is Cat Chat, presented by Learfield. All right, last thing given away here. We've got our $50 gift card to the MSU bookstore, $50 to the MSU bookstore. All right, last four numbers. It is 7072, 7072, 7072. We got it? There it is. All right. We're back one final time at Buffalo Wild Wings. This is Cat Chat. We do want to remind you that you can get all your Bobcat gear from the MSU bookstore, which has the largest selection of Bobcat gear around. Shop with us on campus at Bobcat Stadium on game day and 24/7 at msubookstore.org. One reminder, too, next week, no Cat Chat next week with the bye week, so we will not be here next week. We will do the TV show, but no Cat Chat next week, so just a quick reminder on that. All right, Coach, let's get into this week. Although, first, before we do kind of get into this week, Treyton brought up your pregame speech at Wyoming, and he seemed to have a nice memory of it. But what do you remember about that, and how you've kind of just grown as somebody who's been giving those pregame speeches? Because that Wyoming one would have been your first, right?
It was, and the biggest thing is kind of sequencing what we were going to do. We hadn't really put all that together. So I think that's where it was a little bit off. Like, the captains talk, we do the Lord's Prayer, and then I talk, and then we go out. But didn't have any of that figured out game one. That's about all I really remember. I can't remember what I said or anything like that. But we got it figured out after that. We kind of have a routine, and you try to make each pregame talk its own. So
Yeah. There you go.
more experience, the better you get. I guess.
All about the routine once you get it going.
Yep.
All right, well, let's get into this Portland State game as we get ready to wrap up the show this week. Portland State is a team that, if you look at just their records over the last couple of years, nothing has really popped out. But when you watch this team play, they've got some guys. Dante Chachere is their quarterback. They've got a couple of transfers from UCLA, Boise State, Cal. Here's an idea of how explosive this offense is. Within the first 15 minutes and 10 seconds of their game against Cal Poly, they had 4 touchdowns, and all 4 of those touchdowns were 50-plus yard plays between a return touchdown, some big runs. This offense can really score the football.
Yeah, they've scored 150 points the last 2 games, and it doesn't matter who you play. That's not easy to do. So they do have explosive players. They have things within their scheme that are challenging. There's many guys that can touch the ball. They have multiple running backs that have been effective this point. They have bigger type receivers. And the quarterback is what makes it go. He can make plays with his feet, and he can make plays with his arm. He can make unscripted plays as well. So, getting him off schedule, getting pressure on him, putting him behind the chains, all that stuff. I know that Lavelle alluded to. That's what we need to do. Stop the run first, stop those running backs first, and then get them in the passing situations. No different than any other week, but he's a more athletic version of the quarterbacks as far as what we've seen so far.
Chachere, too, he's a 5-year guy, so he's been there a long time in that system. We got about 30 seconds left here, but quickly just give me a note or two on this defense and what we're going to see and how they're playing.
Well, quite a bit different than they were 2 years ago. That's the biggest thing you see. They were much more of a wild card type of defense when we faced them out in Portland. And now they're, I think, way more sound in what they do. 4 down, keep the ball in front of them, tackle well, all those things, and make you go the long, hard way. And that's, we're capable of doing that. So that's, we got to execute, and we got to get after them as physical, that physical nature that Treyton talked about. That's got to be our calling card, and that's where it starts for us.
All right, well, here we go. So week 5 coming up, the bye week after that. So no Cat Chat next week, but we appreciate everybody coming out this week. Thank you to Treyton Pickering, Lavelle Price Jr. joining us today. Thanks for head coach Brent Vegan, and Trevor Nominuk is back in the studios today. All right, we'll talk to you at 1 o'clock on Saturday for the 2 o'clock kickoff between Montana State and Portland State. Until then, go Cats.